So you've been told you need an apostille for a document, and you're probably thinking, a what? If you have no idea what that means, trust me, you are not alone. It sounds super complicated, but it's actually the key you'll need if you've got big international plans. So let's break down exactly what an apostille is and why it's so incredibly important.
Think about it. Maybe you're planning to work overseas, study abroad for a semester, or even get married in another country. These are huge, exciting life events, but they all have one thing in common: a massive pile of paperwork. And all that paperwork has to be able to travel with you.
But here's the catch. To a government official in, say, Portugal or Japan, your official U.S. birth certificate or your college diploma is, well, it's just a piece of paper. Without the right kind of official validation, it has absolutely no legal weight outside of your home country. So how do you make your documents official? How do you get them ready for their own international journey? Well, that's exactly where the apostille comes in. The easiest way to wrap your head around it is to think of it as a special kind of passport, but for your important papers. Okay, so what is it officially? An apostille is a special certificate that gets physically attached to your original document. Now, it doesn't verify that the content of the document is true. What it does do is verify that the signature of the public official and the seal on the document are authentic, and this makes it instantly acceptable in any country that's a member of the Hague Convention. And honestly, this is the best way to think about it. You have a passport to prove your own identity when you cross a border. Your documents need an apostille to prove theirs. It's the universal stamp of approval that lets them travel legally right alongside you. So when does this actually matter in the real world? Let's look at a few situations where an apostille isn't just a formality. It is absolutely essential to making your plans happen. The range of documents that might need an apostille is actually pretty broad. We're talking about personal records, of course, like your birth and marriage certificates or your college diploma. But it also applies to things like federal documents. An FBI background check is a common one, or even heavy-duty legal papers like corporate agreements and powers of attorney.
And right now, the demand for these is just booming. Think about all those popular programs you hear about, like golden visas in places like Portugal, Spain, or the UAE, or even just the process of applying for dual citizenship. All of these require a mountain of authenticated paperwork, and getting an apostille is often the very first step in that long process.
But here's where it gets a little tricky. Getting the apostille itself isn't always enough. You absolutely have to check the specific rules of your destination country. For example, countries like Italy, Japan, and Brazil will only accept your apostille document if it's also got a certified translation into their official language. It's a crucial extra step. All right, so you know what it is and you know why you might need one. So how do you actually get an apostille? Let's walk through the process so you can see exactly what's involved from start to finish.
To make this really concrete, let's use a common example: the Single Status Affidavit. It's basically a sworn statement that proves you are legally single and free to marry. If you're planning a destination wedding, a lot of countries require this document before they will even think about issuing you a marriage license.
Okay, the process really has 4 key steps. 1, you get the certified original document. No photocopies allowed. 2, you submit it to the designated state authority, which is usually the Secretary of State's office. 3, you've got to pay a fee. And 4, they will physically attach the apostille certificate to your document, and just like that, it's officially ready for its trip abroad. Now, while the process seems pretty simple on paper, there are some really common mistakes that can cause major delays or even get your application rejected entirely. So let's look at what can go wrong and, more importantly, how you can avoid these headaches. So, what are the traps that people fall into? It almost always comes down to the little details, things like deadlines and documentation. And getting any of these wrong can seriously derail your plans.
The 3 biggest pitfalls are simple, but they are so costly. First, submitting the wrong document. It has to be the original certified copy, period. Second, what I call time blindness. These processes can be slow, so if you're on a tight visa deadline, you have to start early. And finally, ignoring that language barrier. Forgetting that certified translation can make your perfectly apostille document completely useless when it gets to its destination.
So what's the real takeaway here? Just think of the apostille as the bridge that allows your documents to be legally understood and accepted anywhere in the world. It's basically the universal translator for bureaucracy. And that leaves us with one final thought. As our lives become more and more global, from our jobs to our personal identities, you have to wonder, what's going to be the next document, the next piece of our lives, that will need its own passport to be trusted across borders? What's the next apostille?